the final of the 4 English blends, the number 4 seed, Ashton's Artisan blend.
A Majestic blend by Coalhouse and Cop. I think I called it Colgate and Cost. I screwed that name up so bad when we were talking about it during our Margate discussion. But Coalhouse and Cop. I probably still screwed it up, but that's who it is. They're the blender. This is the second blend that I started out smoking in my early years, and this blend I still really like it, but it's got some things going on with it that are a little bit different, a little bit interesting. So I'll let you kind of lead out. Tell me what you think about it.
Okay, well, It's a little bit. It's a little bit closer to 965 to me than Margate or Squadron Leader was. I like it doesn't have that toastiness that Margate and Squadron Leader had, but it's it's nice. I really don't know what I make of it yet. Like I said, it does seem a little closer to 965. I do like the cut of it. What's your? I know you said you got some bias, I guess, from it being one of the original ones you started with.
Well, not necessarily, because I'm not the biggest proponent of Margate anymore.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So now, after 10 years or so, what do you think of it now?
Well, Artisan's Blend does something kind of interesting, where Margate, like I guess in like kind of the old saying, you can never go home again. Well, Artisan's Blend really proves that you can, to me. Artisan's Blend is a blend that I can return to, and in a weird freeze frame, I still love it. And that has some caveats in it, because older smokers of Artisan's Blend should be able to notice that it has actually gotten more tame over the years than it was earlier, which is interesting because I think that I like more nuance the older I get, and I don't feel like the earlier Artisan's Blend had much nuance with it in the beginning, like, I don't know, like 12 years ago or whatever. I think that has a lot to do with it being more Syrian Latakia than it probably has today. This blend touts the Syrian Latakia, stamp of approval. I can tell a distinct difference that they've either shortchanged their amount or percentages in Latakia versus what they used to. Because it used to be just like a lat bomb with some other things that kind of adorned it. Now it feels like there are other things going on. This is a peculiar blend too, because technically I would probably categorize it as a Balkan blend. And it gets the moniker of English, and I don't know if that's really justified. So this is kind of an interesting comparison because I feel like I'm actually comparing a Balkan to 3 Englishes.
Well, we did include Balkans in the voting. Balkans were included with English, since it's sort of like a sect of English, I guess.
Okay, well then that works out then, I guess. So, I mean, it is like a subset, but this says, it's a full-bodied English mixture is what it says on the thing. So, yeah, sure. There are a lot of differing opinions about what is actually in Artisan's Blend.
Because, does it really have Syrian Latakia?
Good question. I don't know. I mean, you kind of have to go by what the company says. But the company also says a bunch of other stuff that completely contradict what other providers of the tin say that's in it. So we know for a fact, without getting country of origin style, that there is Latakia, Oriental, and Virginia, which is, as we've discussed before, your base layers of an English blend. This is where we kind of go off-road a little bit. According to Coalhouse and Kopp, there's Dark-Fired Kentucky in it, and the Dark-Fired Kentucky, Virginia, and Oriental are minor in comparison to the Syrian Latakia, because this is definitely a robust blend. This is going to be on par with your plum puddings, with your Abingdon. It's just, we're not going into like an old Ironside situation, but I mean, we're talking about something that's definitely more robust than, say, well, definitely more so than Chelsea Morning and all the blends that we've discussed.
Yeah.
The other thing that is contradictory is that other organizations say that it has Black Cavendish in it. Now, while it is going against what the company says, because I don't think the company actually says that they have Black Cavendish in it. What's interesting about that is that we know 965 has brown Cavendish in it.
Yes.
And the Cavendish, quote-unquote Cavendish, that is inside Artisan's blend gives it that 965 flavor.
Yep.
That rounded sweetness that we were sort of bragging and touting at the first review on Monday.
Yeah.
So I think that, I don't know. I can tell you right now that if it had dark fired and I smoked it as much as I do typically when I get a hold of a tin of Artisan's blend, I'd probably have severe tongue bite, because when I oversmoke Virginias, when I oversmoke dark fired Kentuckys, I tend to get tongue bite if I'm not careful. I mean, I can usually manage, but I mean, if I smoke 2 bowls of a straight straight Virginia, or 2 bowls of a dark fired Kentucky base, I'm going to get tongue bite. It doesn't matter if I smoke one at 8 a.m. and one at 8 p.m. It's just going to happen. I don't know what it is about those blends. I love them. I don't mind sacrificing my tongue for a day. It usually ruins dinner, but I prefer tobacco anyway. But I mean, that's what happens to me. Don't usually get that with Artisan's blend.
Yeah. Something else too. There's Perique in this blend, which there hasn't been in the others.
Mm-hmm. Now, that might be why I don't get tongue bite, because I think Perique negates the alkaline buildup on your tongue.
You see, I love Perique for the most part. If a blend has Perique in it, I like it. Well, for the most part, and which just says it only has like a touch of it. Something else I'm noticing that I didn't notice in the others, there feels like there's more nicotine in this blend.
I can see that.
Than the other 3.
Which is strange, because it doesn't say it has any burley. But I think Dark Fire Kentucky is a burley, so maybe there is Dark Fire if you think you're getting a kick from it.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely feel it more than I felt in the others.
Well, this definitely doesn't. It's not a blend that holds back, that's for sure. Yeah, this is what happens when you get a ribbon cut plum pudding. You know, I think plum pudding without the Perique.
Well, I was gonna say, I think plum pudding. Oh, plum pudding doesn't have Perique in it?
I don't think so.
I think that's what's the difference between it and Bengal slices.
That, and I think Bengal slices has an anise topping on it.
But now, plum pudding has something else with it. I don't know what. Maybe it's cased in something.
I mean, it's got to be. It's got to have something like that. Most of them do.
But whatever it is, it's different than what Artisan's blend is.
I mean, Artisan's blend, you're going to get your smoky right out of the gate. You're going to smell smoke. It's going to be smoke. Regardless if it's Cyprian or Syrian Latakia, you're going to get it. It's going to be right in your face out of the gate. It's still, to this day, still overshadows anything else in it. You can smell around for a little while. You might get a touch of hay for your Virginia. You might get a touch of spice for like your Oriental, but like that Latakia is going to be there. And you really need to, it's going to be difficult, in my opinion, to wade through, especially if you got an older tin and all the different tobaccos have really, really, really melded, and it sort of becomes this symphony of one note that you're, smelling through. But that doesn't really bother me. I don't really smell any sourness that would come from the Perique. Probably lends to the fact that there's like a touch. But I mean, Perique to me is a condiment.
Mm.
The reason I like Virginia Periques or vapor blends is because it tones down the tongue bite that I would get. I can smoke and smoke and smoke Virginia Perique blends, but also it just adds kind of a nice little spice to it. Just it's the truffle of tobacco.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think I prefer vapors to Englishes as well. Just because, like I said, you can just smoke them. If people gave me vapors and that was the only thing I could smoke for the rest of the time, I'd be very happy with that.
Mm-hmm.
I like a little burley to mix in there too every now and then, but
Yeah, you're a vapor fan.
From what I can gather, but like I said, I don't know. Well, actually, that's up for debate because, like I said, I like Haunted Bookshop. I don't like Old Joe Krantz though. So
what I love about you is that like you're definitely, of the two of us, more sensitive to nicotine. But then out of the gate, you love Haunted Bookshop, which is burley base, and most people will tell you that Haunted Bookshop will put them on their asses.
that is crazy because, like I said, Heavy Virginia is what's put me on my ass more than anything. And again, I don't know why. Really, nothing has done it except for that one time. Maybe there were some variables that I'm not taking into consideration. Because as much as I've smoked on this show and outside of the show since then, nothing's ever really done anything like that to me.
Yeah, obviously you build up a certain amount of tolerance, but I mean, I wouldn't consider you like a heavy smoker.
Mm-mm. Yeah, I mean, I'm anywhere from 1 to 3 or 4 times a week. Except for this week. This week's been a big old kick.
What we call that is this week is wonderful.
Yeah, oh yeah. This week is vacation.
This is a vacation from his typical non-smoking as much.
Yeah.
It's just the thing about Patrick is I think Patrick gets coerced into smoking more because I'm around. When I come around, like the pipes come out. So
yeah, which I mean I don't complain. That's for sure.
But this is like I said, with all that stuff that we just discussed, being maybe more so a Balkan than an English, et cetera, yada yada. This is definitely sits very high.
Yeah, I'd have to say my ranking has sort of readjusted. Going in, it was really 965 and Squadron Leader were battling it out, and Margate was sort of there trying to play catch up. And I'd have to say Squadron Leader has dropped down with Margate, and Ashton Artisan's blend is up there with 965. It's really gonna. I mean, you'll have to wait and find out on Friday's conclusion, but I mean, it's going to be. I'll just go ahead and tell you, it's going to be between Artisan's blend and 965.
And that's fine. I mean, you should. Yeah, but we should have pretty much assumed that Margate was going to get kicked out. Like, I kind of knew it going in. I was like, Margate, like, it's okay. I think it has a lot more clout because of JF Germain, and they're kind of inaccessible to the general public.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily true with Margate, but, I mean, I'm sure people out there understand what I'm referring to. So, I mean, it's just a little bit more difficult to acquire. I think that gives it a little bit more mystique and makes it more of a power hitter. Because, I have friends and I've belonged to groups that are esoterica connoisseurs and fans, to a level that is sort of cult-like, which I respect. We're not talking Heaven's Gate, obviously, but it has like sort of a cult status in the tobacco community. And while some of that to me feels like it's unmerited because it has less to do with taste and more to do with availability, they do have some amazing blends. Some of them I think you do have to work into, and sometimes I think it's kind of like the kind of a part of maybe being around something or chasing something for so long that you sort of incorrectly hype it in your mind. I've done that with Stonehaven, which when I acquired it and smoked it, it's okay. It wasn't like the way everyone made it out to be. With that in mind, I'm not giving up on it. I continually smoke it, and my taste for the Virginia Burley blend, in this case Stonehaven, has adjusted a little bit more. It's kind of an oatmeal flavor that is satisfying in its own way, but not to the degree that people are like, yes, if you can get it,
Yeah, I like it a lot, and it's sort of like one of those. How you like Margate and Pembroke for its for the cut and the way it smokes. I like Stonehaven. Well, one, I like it a lot. Its flavor, but I really like the way it smokes and like how fine of a flake that is. I really enjoy that. Yeah, Stonehaven is good. But what really I was going to say, what we should have done if we had a bigger production team, and we can't really do it with the vapors, but I guess we could, but what would have been nice is if we did not know the ones we were smoking in this whole endeavor. Now I know Margate would throw a little hiccup because we'd be able to see that it's a shag, but if somehow we could have if we had a third person filling the bowl and doing all the stuff, if we could have blindfolded ourselves in a way and sort of ranked them that way, that would have been interesting to know.
That would have been good. I mean, because I hope everyone understands out there that I'm not some sommelier, some sort of tobacco tasting, wine tasting kind of fellow. I think if you were to tell the difference between, I think I can tell the difference between high-end and low-end tobacco, for the most part. But if you were to get down to, like, blends, like, can you taste the difference between this blend and this blend when they're very similar? I can probably tell you that Latakia is more pronounced, or Oriental is more pronounced than this, or there's a little bit more Virginia. I definitely can tell the difference between blends, obviously, but at a certain point, I think when you get to that high level, it's going to be just a little bit of nuance here and there. I look forward to next week because Virginia Perique has a special place in my heart, and there's certain types of toppings that kind of make. I really like. I think it's Reiner 71 or Reiner Gold is what I call it, which is a white burley Virginia Perique with a honey topping and orange, and I love that blend. But if you were to talk about one of my favorite, just straight Virginia Perique, it's Fillmore. And this is interesting because we are actually going to taste Telegraph Hill, which I haven't had before. I've had Stratford and I've had Fillmore. Honestly, when I tried Fillmore, I didn't think you could get better than Fillmore, so there wasn't any reason to go any further. It was so full and so perfect of a Virginia Perique that I didn't think that there was really any need to sort of peruse the GOP's lines because it just tasted so amazing. So I'm going to be interested to see how this stacks up against Telegraph Hill. Stratford, it's fine. It's whatever. I mean, I'm not the biggest Stratford fan in the world. It's okay.
Yeah,
But
I have it. I enjoy it pretty well.
um,
It's nice.
I think it's a pretty middle of the road. I think there's a lot more to be said for Fillmore. I think it's a little bit more robust with like, I don't know. It's almost like the Virginias are really ripe or something because they taste so fruity and so amazing. And then there's a sourness to it that is really satisfying and coats the tongue. It's almost like I don't even like this fruit, but it's like sort of like after an hour or two, that's still that sort of soured coating on your tongue if you eat grapefruit.
Mhm.
Fillmore does that in a very subtle way that's satisfying. Um, so it'll be interesting to see that. I think I'm going to have a little bit more stronger opinions on the Virginia Perique. Englishes, I feel like, and I said this before and other things, Latakia is going to overpower everything. So really, you just all to me, English Balkans are just smoking different shades of Latakia.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I was just sitting here thinking about how much I'm going to. I mean, not to discredit this week, but I'm really looking forward to next week with the papers because that's going to be a lot of fun. Now, granted, we definitely cannot do like the blind testing with that because Luxury Bulls Off Lake is involved, and you're definitely going to know right off the bat, which one that one is. So I think the rest of them are
Well, it's a Scudo.
Scudo. So I mean, in a way, you could do it between. You could do a Scudo. You could do a blind one between a Scudo and Luxury Bulls Off Lake, and you could do a blind between Telegraph Hill and Elizabethan.
But a Scudo doesn't have a Cavendish core. Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, if somebody packed it for us,
okay,
like. Then I guess you could just blindly do it.
Yeah, but you'd have to have someone to pack it.
Mm-hmm. You just grab one,
Yeah,
just blindly put it in your thing. But yeah, so with art, is this the only blend that Ashton makes?
no, they've got a lot more.
Okay, this is the only one I've ever heard of though.
To me, it's their best, but they have like Consummate Gentleman and
Okay.
something Breeze. They have I think one called Yacht something. So I mean, I think you guys have heard me talk about Ashton and Ferndown and Sassini pipes, and those are the three pipes.
This is the same Ashton.
This is the same
Oh.
Ashton. So these are spin-off. Okay, so as I said before, Dunhill and Sheraton. Basically, Dunhill stole Sassini, who was working for Sheraton at the time, and Sassini sort of helped produce Dunhill pipes. And then Sassini was like, I could do this better. He spun off, he created the Sassini pipe, which if you guys have ever listened to this podcast, or at least for the last couple of times, you know that Sassini is definitely my favorite. I didn't speak about it earlier because I thought I'd lost my only Sassini pipe, but it was recovered, and it smokes brilliantly, as any Sassini pipe will. I'm even getting more Sassini pipes. I'm actually kind of obsessed with them again. But aside from Sassini, there's Ashton and Ferndown, and great pipes. I love all three of them. I think they all sort of spun off from the Dunhill thing, and they sort of took on the same attributes that Dunhill had. So Dunhill obviously has, its major blends that we're kind of seeing go away, but Ashton has its major blends. Artisan's blend is sort of the nightcap of, it's the nightcap spinoff. It's Ashton's nightcap is all it is.
Oh, wow.
Artisan's blend is Ashton's nightcap. That's it. Ferndown had some tobaccos I never got to try. It's pretty sad. Of course, I also heard that they weren't that good. But they had their own tobacco blends, Ferndown. I think the one that was the most famous, it was like the orange and yellow label Ferndown, which I think was a Virginia Perique. Don't quote me on that. It might have been the red and orange label. They were basically distinguished by color, I think. And then, so you have Ashton, Ferndown, and Sassini. And Sassini's been around for a while. You can still get Balkan Sassini, which is a Scandinavian tobacco group, pipe tobacco. And you can still do Balkan Sassini. which is sort of the answer to Balkan Sobrani going away in the 80s, only to be resurrected by J.F. Jermaine and Sons, which is the Esoterica creator, which is why everyone's super fond of Balkan Sobrani, but it's also impossible to find, which is hilarious because the original Balkan Sobrani is sort of the staple for all Balkan blends. Like everyone, especially 10 years ago, I didn't know if people even talk about it anymore. It seems like I don't really hear much about Balkan Sobrani. It's like it's been left in the dust. Only like the really old timers really talk about it. But Balkan Sobrani is sort of the gold standard in pipe tobacco for a long time. If you want to try people's interpretations of Balkan Sobrani, then you would want to try Hearth and Holmes Black House, Meridian by GLPs. That's another part of the old London series. That was the one I missed. And then the other one would be Balkan Blue by McClellan, which no longer exists, which was my favorite. So Meridian is super good. If you guys get a chance, try Meridian. Never tried Black House. One day I'll get around to it, but Meridian's amazing. GLP's he's a talented guy.
Oh yeah.
The only complaint I ever had about him was that I feel like his stuff isn't very consistent. Caveat to that, I've said that a couple times. I've always thought about like Char and Cross Abingdon, Meridian, Chelsea Morning. Doesn't stick with Fillmore. Fillmore is very consistent from the bottom to the top of the bowl, top of the bottom of the bowl.
Yeah. I wonder if I wish Pease would do some bulk. I mean, Cornell and Dill does bulk. I don't know. Maybe he just doesn't want to. But
it's probably a marketing tool.
Yeah.
You got to think. I mean, if you feel like the stuff is skipped, well, also you're probably paying a premium for the tins.
Oh yeah, because
you can get a 200 gram tin though.
Oh yeah, but the it makes sense that he'd want to get those tins sold with the great poetry he puts on them.
Well, he's a little verbose, and like I sort of mockingly don't like his website, which is what is the title? It's like classic pipe tobacco for the postmodern smoker. It's like, what does that even mean, postmodern smoker? Like,
yeah,
are you suggesting that the smoker is not real? Like,
I don't really care for or really understand the use of the term postmodern in anything. So,
well, I mean, I can complain all day long about like simple stuff like that. It's stupid and irrelevant because the man he can blend, and that's all I really care for. That's all I really care to hear about is him being able to blend stuff. So good on him. What I really want is to get a hold of his Drucker and Sons blends that he recreated. Another Cornell and Dill blending, but I've heard good things. It seems like people really like it. They like that Blowgowrie, and I can't think of the other one. There's several blends. I mean, they're all relatively popular. So, but it's a Broken Flake, which I really enjoy his Broken Flake. I'm pretty sure Fillmore's a Broken Flake too. But Blowgowrie and I think it was Trafalgar is another one that's really popular with him. And I think those are actually obtainable right now at Smoking Pipes.
Not really.
Yeah, because Blowgowrie went away, and I think so did Trafalgar. They were kind of all selling out there for a split second. When you get on 100 and 200 gram tins, 200 grams is a ton of tobacco.
Why do you... Yeah, it is. Because like those normal ones are what, 5 or 50?
Mm-hmm.
So you're talking, golly. But, jeez.
But yeah, I do not badmouth blenders. They're good. I kind of think some things that we do as people are silly. I've done terribly silly things that are embarrassing that I don't like to think about and talk about. But, I mean, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, I mean, like, what did he produce? And what he produced is gold. So good on you, Mr. Pease.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I really enjoy your blends.
And actually, I mean, to be honest with you, if I had my own tobacco blending company, I mean, a lot of the stuff he does with his tins and and stuff is probably what I would do. I would have some kind of consistency and some kind of, like when, I don't know if many people would catch this reference, but like with Magic the Gathering, at the bottom of the cards, there's like a little thing that says, it's like the lore text, like, just some stuff behind it, a story behind it. I would definitely do that if I was running some kind of company and putting out products. There would definitely be some kind of lore, things like that behind it. But I don't fault him for it. It is funny to mock though. But
that's neither here nor there. I mean, I think everyone is like looked. I mean, if I was going to give you like a little bit of crap, Mr. Pease, it would be like, can you just tell me what's in the thing? Like when I look at the back and I just hear like the quiet whisper of a summer night, and a dusky fall evening, as you walk around, the handkerchief flies, and inside a kite.
Yeah, like I would. If I was him, I'd still have that, but on the other side or over to the side of that would be, just tell me the components. Give me a list of the components.
Because that's going to distinguish whether I pick it up or not. And he is one of the only people who I will pick up it's GOPs. I can take a chance. I can take a chance as to what the components are that I'm probably going to like it. When I read the back of it, I was like, what? I didn't know what sixpence was. I had to research what it was when I was standing there, and I'm like, oh, it's a vapor? That's weird. Because this sounds like it is a page from an old book in a library.
Whereas, I think maybe he doesn't want to do this, but you think he would take a page out of Cornell and Dill's book, or maybe they took a page out of his book but did it better with their Elder Ones series, the Lovecraft inspired tobacco. They they did that, but they incorporated the blends inside of it. Like, they did some kind of funky, like, you're in, I think, like, Miskatonic mixture, maybe. I think it says something like, you're in the back of a library and you stumble upon blah, blah, blah. But they tell you what the components are inside of that. They mix that in. And I think that's a better way to do it if you're not going to at least do what he does, and then also, on the side note, say, hey, well, this is also what's in it.
And like I said, I don't want to take away too much, because pipe smoking automatically lends itself to a literary mystique, maybe. I kind of do think of like old academics when I think of pipe smokers, and it might be the reason why I even picked up pipe smoking, because like deep down I sort of envied that sort of academic, closed off, reader, philosopher, mystic type person. But you get down to it, you're just partaking in the joy of tobacco. You don't really need to be an academic to enjoy that kind of stuff. So
no, but I think that I don't think there's any shame in talking about those kind of things, because tobacco is such a broad, or such a huge topic that nobody out there really is talking about that stuff. Or if they are, it's on forums, and it's maybe at your brick and mortar, when guys are just hanging out talking. So again, we just have to caveat it like we've been doing it by saying, hey, the man can blend, but it is something to talk about how he goes about his marketing.
Yeah, the man can blend. I can take a chance on his tobacco, and the odds are I'm going to really enjoy it. So. He's been doing it for a long time. He's a smarter, more educated tobacconist than, obviously me. I'm just an armchair connoisseur. So, the guy really does know his stuff. I'm not knocking him. It just, I think I just get a little peevish when I have to do the extra effort of looking up what's in a blend instead of like going through like his small blurb on whatever.
Yeah. But then, I would say, because I was about to say, I like being able, like, I got this Artisan blend right here in my hand, and, I like being able to grab it and be like, this full-bodied English mixture is blah, 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 Virginia and Turkish tobaccos harmonized with Syrian, all this crap. But then I think I get more mad at the fact that I actually can't believe this. Like, this isn't trustworthy. The fact that some people say there is Cavendish in this. Some people say this. Does it really have Syrian Latakia? I don't know. So I'm actually more mad that I can read this, but I can't trust it. That's actually more aggravating.
Yeah, there's some differing opinions on Ashton Artisan's blend.
I mean, and Peterson's been that way too. You'll look at like Old Dublin. You look, or you look at what it says on the tin, and you look at what the website says, and I mean, there's some differences there.
One of the things that pissed me off about Peterson's to no end was they changed the tin between the first time I smoked Peterson's University Flake, which was a square tin.
Yeah.
It used to be square, okay? And it's a Virginia Flake, delicious, with a plum topping. It's really good. The plum is not overbearing. It just makes anyway. And I would talk to people about it because I didn't remember it was University Flake. I just remember it was a blue square tin, and I'd be like, man, I tell you, Peterson's Flake, and that's what I call it. Peterson's Flake was one of the best. Blah 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 blah. And I would talk it up. I'm like, yeah, I don't know why they discontinued it. Yada yada yada. And then one day I was talking to my tobacconist about it, and I was just like, you know what, I miss Peterson's Flake. Why did they discontinue such a lovely flake? And he's like, Peterson, what flake? Like, and I go, it was like a square blue label. And he goes, you mean University Flake? Like the thing that's right behind me right now? And it's in a freaking gold circular tin.
Yeah, it's gold, orange.
There it was. And I was like, crap! I've been not buying University Flake for years because I'm so used to seeing the tiny square sort of McBaron has those same square tins.
Yeah,
that's what I'm used to seeing, and it just along the way I just forgot the name and then they changed the tin, and I just was like, well, it doesn't exist anymore. I can lament this for an hour in a tobacco shop, and they're like, you gonna buy anything, kid, or you gonna get out of here?
I mean, have you had it since?
Mm-hmm.
Is it still a flake?
Yes.
But it's in a round tin?
Mm-hmm.
How do they... I mean,
the same thing for Bingle slices.
Oh, yeah.
Bingle slices they're sort of like sliced crumble cake.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to try University Flake. I've only had 2 Peterson blends, but that's neither here nor there. So I guess to round this up, y'all just get ready for Friday, and we'll tell you what we think.
Friday reveal, baby.
And hopefully there won't be much debate. Hopefully we won't have to. Hopefully we won't have to resort or to a coin flip.
No, the horns are out, man. Like, I'm ready to deliberate whatever this is. This might be like 12 Angry Men, except it's just 2 angry men.
Yeah.
That's an old movie reference, you guys. So you should watch it. It's a great movie.
I like that movie. Yeah, it's a good movie. But all right, well, till next time.
All right, guys. Have a good one.